This was a situation. I filed a typical motion to withdraw because I was an attorney of record on a pre-indictment on a indigent defendant. And what happened was, once the case was indicted, it was assigned to the 114 District Court. And when it was assigned to the 114 District Court, I filed a typical motion to withdraw, requesting that that court assign one of the contract attorneys out of that court to take over the case. Normally, you don't even have a hearing on those type cases. Why Judge Kennedy set this for a hearing on July the 1st at 11 a.m., I have no idea. Which typically you don't have a hearing on those cases because it's just, hey, I'm a contract lawyer for the 241st.
Mm-hmm.
He's been appointed me pre-indictment, so therefore, since it's transferred to your court, just have one of your attorneys, that's the contract attorney in that court, assigned to his case. Normally, the judge just sign off on those motions without a hearing. At that time, I told Tammy, I said, Tammy, I can't be back at 4:30. Can't you let the judge know that I have to be at the hospital with my family? My aunt is at the hospital. She's on her deathbed. And we need to go there to comfort her, and we're all going to meet there as a family. While I was standing there, Tammy called the judge, spoke to the judge, and told the judge exactly what I told her. And then she said, the judge said, you got to be here at 4:30. After speaking with Tammy, went to Judge Skeen, and I said, Judge Skeen, I got a problem in the 114 District Court. And I said, I don't want to be disrespectful towards any judge, but this is the situation, Judge. I have to be at the hospital at 4:30 with my family because my aunt is dying. They don't give her that much, time to live, and I have to be at the hospital at 4:30. And this is just a court-appointed case where I'm just withdrawn as attorney of record for her to appoint someone in her court. And Judge Skeen at that time said, with Clifton, I think she probably just want to verify that you have to be at the hospital. And a couple of prosecutors in there at that time, Jeff and Biggs, said, Clifton, and just like the judge said, I agree with the judge. She probably just want to verify that you're at the hospital, just going to the hospital. When I went home, changed clothes, picked up my wife, and we got to the hospital around 4:25. I used my wife's cell phone to call Tammy, told Tammy where we're at the hospital, what room we were going to, and Tammy said, well, let me give that information to the judge. She told the judge I was at the hospital, what room I was going to, that I was going to see my aunt on her deathbed. And then at that time, Tammy said, well, Clifton, the judge said, you got to be here in 5 minutes. And I said, Tammy, that's going to be a problem. I just explained the situation, where I am and why I can't be there. She told the judge, Judge, he can't be here. And she said, well, if he's not here, I'm going to do a writ of attachment on him, which is arrest me, bring me to court. And I said, well, Tammy, if she wants to do a writ of attachment, go ahead.
Arrest order.
Yeah, arrest order. Just go ahead and arrest me and bring me to court. And about 10 minutes after that conversation, my wife received a phone call from the Smith County Sheriff's Department saying, Clifton, we got to come out here. We got to come to the hospital to arrest you. And we don't want to do that. Can you just come to court? And I said, well, if she got an arrest warrant for me to arrest me, guys can come out to the hospital to get me. I'm in room so-and-so. And they showed up at the hospital with one of the security guards from Mother Francis Hospital, knocked on her door. They saw my family in there with my dying aunt. And they said, well, Clifton, can you come out for a few minutes? And they said, you know why we're here? And I said, sure. Brought me to the courthouse, and before I got in the courthouse, I could see my wife was already there, my dad and my mom, and my wife was, she's all hysterical, crying or whatever. They had to calm her down. Then they took me on up to the courtroom. When I got to the courtroom, Judge Kennedy instructed the bailiffs, not the bailiffs, the deputies, they can take the handcuffs off. And at that point, she said, you can approach Mr. Roberson. And I said, well, Judge, that's the problem. I said, it's the policy of the courts, if you weren't shorts, you can't approach the bench. She said, that's okay. You filed a motion to withdraw. Yes, Judge. Because it was pre-indictment, you were assigned as a contract attorney. Yes. She asked the guy, said, do you have a problem with Mr. Roberson withdrawing? He was like, what? He didn't know what was going on. She said, well, since he's a contract attorney at 241st, you're in my court, I'm going to have to appoint a contract attorney in the 114. He said, fine. And she she said, motion granted, you can leave.